important in the world. Our relationship is the most important in the world. Donald Trump built that relationship together this summer, and on we go from there. So we are very excited about the prospects that working together will bring to the European Union, to the United States of America, and to the world. Ambassador?
Thank you. This is not the first time that the European Union and the United States have tried to have a new arrangement on trade. We've had TTIP negotiations, we had various high-level dialogues and committees, but what we are achieving right now is actual concrete progress. Even just looking at the joint statement from the summer, it's very specific: non-tariff barriers, tariff matters, purchases, investment commitments, commitments on economic security, concrete commitments from both sides. And that's the difference between what's happening now and what's happened in the past. And as the Secretary put it, on the U.S. side, we're trying to rebalance trade. The United States has a long history in recent years of being the consumer of last resort for the world, and we want to have a very constructive, balanced, reciprocal trade relationship with the EU. We have so much in common. We have a common history. We have fought wars together. We should be aligned on economic matters as well. We're not going to solve every problem in this negotiation, but I think we'll solve a lot of them. And I think if we can do that, implementing the joint agreement is going to lead to bigger and better things for our relationship. Thank you.
Thank you. Please, one at a time. Start with AFP.
My questions, I would like to first direct my question in terms of steel to Sefcovic, and it will, of course, for you as well, Secretary. Steel has been mentioned by the EU side as being very important to lower the tariffs on. From the American side, if I'm not wrong, I believe the digital and the green rules, especially the digital rules, are of great importance. It seems the two of you in these comments are both on the same line, but earlier you gave an interview to Bloomberg where you mentioned the digital rules. So first I'd like to ask, is that what you'd like to see, that the EU rolls back on some of its digital and green rules, and in exchange the US can consider whether to find a way through the steel issue to lower the tariffs or the quotas, whatever that situation is? And in response to such a comment, I wanted to ask your reaction, Commissioner Sefcovic. Thank you.
Digital rules and digital balance are the most extraordinary opportunity for the European Union, right? The United States is seeing trillions upon trillions. 7 of our companies each investing $500 billion in the United States of America building data centers. That opportunity, if the European Union can find a way to have a balanced digital set of rules, I think the European Union can see $1 trillion of investment, and that would add 1.5 points to European GDP. So our suggestion is that the European Union and their trade ministers deeply consider trying to analyze their digital rules, try to come away with a balance, not put them away, but find the balanced approach that works with us. And if they can come up with that balanced approach, which I think they can, then we will, together with them, handle the steel and aluminum issues and bring that on together. So that is on the table. Everything is on the table, but I think those two things are the most important things going forward. Digital trade and finding that balance will produce so much investment in Europe, and right now Europe is missing that investment. If they get this right, then the scale of digital investment in Europe will be amazing, like we're seeing in the United States.
Yeah, if I would complement the answer of the Secretary, I think we discussed also in a greater detail a bit this morning, or with Ambassador Greer yesterday, and I think it was one of the most frequently mentioned topic around the lunch, how important the steel derivatives are for European Union and for the European companies. And I think that especially if you look at capital goods steel products, where we are talking about machinery, where we are talking about the robots, I think we both, I would say, realize that America wants to reindustrialize, and a big part of it are also the machines which are supplied from the European Union to United States of America. So I'm very glad that with the Secretary we discussed how we can actually launch the discussion on the steel and derivatives. Earlier this year we've been discussing that if it comes to the steel exports, we are not each other problem because we do not export that much steel to each other, but we have a common issue, and this is global overcapacity, and with the recent safeguards which we adopted, which is, I think, very, very similar to the measures which U.S. has taken to protect the market, that now we have all the preconditions in starting this discussion in earnest, and we'll be looking into the ways how we can launch this process. On the digital matters, I know that Secretary also met with my colleagues who are responsible for these files. We just wanted to clearly reassure the Secretary that our laws are not discriminatory, they are not aimed at U.S. companies, but we know that this is one of the issues U.S. wants to discuss. We are prepared to respond to the question, as the U.S. is prepared to respond to our inquiries and our suggestion on the steel and other subsectors which are important for us. So this is, I would say, work in progress, and we'll continue to talk.
Secretary, has Trump taken down pharmaceutical tariffs?
Please.
I'd just like to ask for Secretary Lutnick and for Ambassador Greer, can you please let us know, what did you hear from your European counterparts today during the meeting when it comes to lowering tariffs on particular products? Did they convince you? Did they say anything that convinces you to think about lowering some of those tariffs? If they did, when might that happen? If they didn't, what might it take for you to be convinced? And Commissioner Sefcovic, if you could also respond after you've heard from them, what do you think the EU still has to do to convince your American counterparts on this? And I'm talking here about things like spirits, wine, a whole range of other products that the Europeans have asked about. Thanks.
Thank you. So the conversations for this weekend were really about stock taking, progress, what we've achieved, areas of divergence, areas of convergence. With respect to items that are potentially subject to tariffs or not, we have a joint statement from the summer. We are focused on implementing that rapidly. In that joint statement, it indicated generally that there could be some consideration of other sectors or items or things like that. The most important thing that we do now is implement the joint statement. It's really hard to move on to other things or to a broader, cross-section of the economy before we fully implement the first part of the agreement. The United States has lowered its tariffs. The European Union has their legislative process going through Parliament to lower their tariffs. That's all on the right track. And so we need to get that well in hand before we're able to have that kind of conversation, which we're happy to have.
So the agreement we made this summer is foundational. It's the beginning on how to grow it and build it. It's a living, breathing deal between two great economies, the great economies of the earth. So let's finish this. Let's get that foundation solidly in the ground, and then we're going to build upon it, and it will continue to grow.
And I think if I can add, I think that I just referred to some of what I believe are very impressive figures on how seriously we take our agreement, our joint statement. These are unprecedented figures within investment, direct purchase, or cooperation in the field of military and other areas. So we just are absolutely serious about fulfillment of this agreement, and I think we are delivering. If it comes to the lowering of the tariff, I would say with lightning speed. In the middle of August, we already introduced and tabled two of the legislative proposals on lowering the tariffs. I have to appreciate that also the U.S. side was faithful to that agreement, that if we do that, so these lower tariffs, especially for automotives, aerospace and other sectors, would be applied retroactively, which has happened. So I think from the day one, we respected our mutual commitments, and I assured my American partners that the process is going well. Presidency is doing a great job in getting it through the Council as quickly as possible, and we have the same process going through in the European Parliament. So we are looking into the ways how to accelerate the process. I think after today's discussion. We'll continue to look for the ways what can be done to progress even faster within the Council in the European Parliament, and we'll have that discussions now. And as you know, tomorrow most of us will be in Strasbourg, so I'm sure that it will be one of the topics of the conversation which we'll have with our parliamentarians.
Thanks so much. So I had a question. You both mentioned that there was a joint understanding around common challenges when it comes to economic security. And so I'd like to have a sense of what did Washington and Brussels agree today in terms of concrete steps when it comes to tackling joint challenges around Chinese rare earth export controls, for instance, of overcapacity.
Well, we have shared alignment and understanding to tackle the issues that face us both together. So we are working closely together, and we expect to work closely together on critical minerals, on rare earths, on a whole variety of those type of topics. Those are easy for us to work together, and those don't take up a lot of time when we're talking, because when everybody just agrees right away, it's not very difficult. So I think we spend the time talking about how to grow this relationship. Where can it go next tends to be the area of our conversation.
A couple of questions for Mr. Lutnick. First, you said that you would like to see the European Union having a balanced approach when it comes to the digital rules. Today you discussed with Vice President Virkunil the so-called simplification, the omnibus on digital matters. Is this not enough for you? And what else you would like to see? And secondly, are you planning to include a significant number of derivative items, products from steel and aluminium in your next extension list? And when is this next list coming?
My hope with respect to digital is that the European Union will take our advice and guidance, which we came in today, solve for some of the outstanding cases, resolve those cases, and basically create a framework that we are comfortable with. Once they set that framework that we are comfortable with and we understand it, resolve these outstanding cases that are old, then I think we can go and attack the steel and aluminum, try to come up with a list and a model that works very, very well for the European Union and resolves many of these issues in a very positive way. So I think we are on the path. We are, as we use the term upstairs, we are all leaning in and leaning forward to resolving all these issues together and coming up to an ever expanding and growing trade relationship together.
Let me just, if I can make a point on the Digital Markets Act. I know my colleague Maros said that it's not discriminatory or intended to be, and I hope we're on a good path to resolving that. The United States has had significant concerns for many years about the Digital Markets Act and similar legislation in the EU. Many times the thresholds are set to the extent that it's nearly only U.S. companies that are captured. The enforcement is quite aggressive at times. It becomes complying with the law can become challenging. Sometimes our companies feel like the goalposts are moved. The fines can be quite large. I make this point not to be negative, but just to explain a little bit the U.S. position and challenge we see vis-a-vis these laws. So I'm greatly encouraged by the conversations we had today. We know that the European Union, that these laws are important to them, that they're trying to regulate, within their jurisdiction. We just want to make sure we're controlling for our companies that have global business models, that their global revenues aren't affected, and a variety of other things that perhaps could be modified to help accommodate their concerns and ours.
Okay, I think that will conclude our doorstep. Before we close, I just want again to thank you for accepting our invitation. We were proud, the Danish presidency, to host this lunch, but as I always also told my colleagues and reminded them about Milton Friedman's old saying, there is not such a thing as a free lunch. And I think the best way we all could pay back is by, as you said, leaning in and fulfill the implementation of what we have already agreed, and building on that, enhancing our cooperation. Because, as you stated, if we join forces, if you look at the numbers, we are so big that we can set the standards across the globe, and that will be that will be an advantage for all American and all European citizens. So once again, I think this was a very useful meeting. Thank you a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Not yet. I guess. So So I will see you in a moment, the business leaders. Yeah. It will be another thing.